How anybody feels about the politics of it. I don't know who in here is a Democrat or who's a Republican. I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. I don't care if you're independent. But I can just, I saw this and I said, this is a really powerful economic lesson. This is something that I think Black people can learn from. And you can learn how value gets destroyed right before your very eyes when you have conflict, and also what happens when you fight people that are used to be your allies. Your allies, they have dirt on you. Your allies are the people that can hurt you the most, and one of the things you'll find is that the people that oftentimes end up being destroyed, they get destroyed by somebody who used to be a confidant, somebody who used to be close to them. And this is what I saw here. I don't know how many of y'all saw this. Did any of you see what was going on with Trump and Musk and they're kind of going back and forth like two, eighth grade girls and it's pretty interesting to watch. It has big implications for the world, big implications for the government. And a lot of people are watching, a lot of people are concerned about it. For one thing, the big beautiful bill that Trump was trying to get pushed through Congress is probably going to get derailed now because now he's fighting with the richest man on earth. And then on top of that, though, Tesla stock took a nosedive right, as Elon Musk started to fight with Trump. And I don't know if the stock has recovered or not. In fact, actually, I'm going to send out a text message to you guys right now for everybody that's not here yet to remind them that class is starting. And then in a little bit, I think Dr. George C. Frazier is coming in today. And so, but I think he couldn't get here till half past, till 10:30 Eastern. So I got to double check that though, make sure it's not that it's today and not a different day. And I think Dr. Frazier would be perfect to talk about this topic because Dr. Frazier is an expert in relationships and networking. He's an expert in understanding the economic value that comes with staying connected, the economic value that comes with conflict resolution, the economic value that comes with finding the right allies and keeping them, overcoming your differences and turning those enemies into friends. And so this is one area where I think that a lot of you are smarter than the people that you look up to, because I don't think that Trump and Musk are built to really understand what they're losing when they sort of allow their dirty laundry to be kind of aired out in that way. And so you know what it reminds me of actually? I remember when I was in high school, there were two girls that were thick as thieves. They were both melanin deficient. They were not black, and they were very, very good friends. And I remember one day they fell out. Something happened. I don't know what happened. They got into a fight, and they were only mad at each other for like a week, and then they became friends again. Well, during that week, one of the girls was so mad that she was telling all the other girls' secrets. I mean, literally telling the whole class every terrible thing that this girl had done. And woo, buddy, I mean, she had done some stuff. And I remember just sitting there thinking, I said, this is so interesting because they're going to end up being friends again real soon. And I don't know if you can come back from that. Like sometimes when you're traumatized and you're mad and you're not level-headed, you can say things that you can't come back from. And then they became friends later, but it was kind of awkward because by that time she had told all this little girl's secrets. And I remember thinking, "Ooh, buddy, you wouldn't be my friend after you did that." And so what I would say to you is that there's a lot of economic theory that actually supports the fact that conflict resolution skill is an economic skill that you should acquire. It's something that you should train yourself on. Relationship building is something you should train yourself on. Remember, you went to school to learn a whole bunch of stuff to teach you how to go work for white people. I think you should also go to school to learn a whole bunch of stuff that'll teach you how to work with black people. How about that? How about that? How about we make education what it's supposed to be? Because I can list a lot of reasons why conflict resolution skill is huge when it comes to building wealth. All right, in fact, I gathered some stuff, and I'm going to lay out some stuff that you can actually take notes on that will help you in your wealth building journey to know that I'm not just running my mouth. All right, so give me a second. Let me see if I can find it. Uh, all right, so first thing it starts you start with when you talk about this. is let's talk about the damage, right? So for one thing, I'm an owner of Tesla stock, and I told you guys the reason I own Tesla stock is because, and I know that that's maybe a controversial position for some people, I don't know, but I own Tesla stock because Tesla is best positioned to make money not from cars. They're going to make their money from autonomous taxis. In fact, Tesla has a plan where they claim that within the next couple of years, you'll be able to buy one of their cars and drive it to work and then program the car such that while you're at work, your car is out making money for you, picking people up and giving them rides. So literally, you can rent your car out as an Uber without an actual Uber driver. That's what they're saying they'll be able to do. Now, is that going to actually happen? Nobody knows because Elon Musk likes to, make promises that don't happen right away. But it's something that most experts believe that they're capable of doing. They say, look, we're not that far away for them have to have the technology to be able to pull this off. That's going to be massive. That's a huge catalyst for the stock. Number two, you have robots after that. And the claim is that the market for these robots is going to be bigger than the market for these driverless taxis. So, if you want to know why I don't care nothing about the drama, I'm just not into that. You can save the drama for your mama. I want to be a part of this revolution. So I have a lot of investments in the AI space. I think AI is a tremendous opportunity for those that are able to be forward looking in this. And what's interesting, I'm looking at Tesla stock, and it looks like it's already rebounded from what happened yesterday. So let me show you Tesla stock as of right now, as of right this moment. You saw a dip. So here it was what 344, or let's go back. Let's go back to look at the 5 day thing. Okay, so it's down for the week. You saw here, it looks like yesterday you kind of had a drop. And that was, I guess, when Trump and Musk started fighting. So during the week, it's been as high as what 354, and then it dropped as low as 277. Look at that. And now it's starting to climb back up. And as of today, it's actually making money. There's another investment that I had called TSLL, which is basically Tesla stock on steroids. It doubles the whatever the ROI is on Tesla, it doubles that ROI. And you see that's going to probably be red also. That went down, but now that's already climbing back up, which is great. I think I made some money because I did buy some more of these shares yesterday because I do believe in Tesla, but it's not the only stock I have. I own hundreds of companies, and I think that's how you want to invest. Spread your money out. Don't just pick one company and stay in there. And for those of you that are interested in things like stock options, stuff like that, we're gonna have a meeting later on today in Dr. Boyce Prime, which is the income class, stock options income class. If you'd like to join us, I got to see what time it is. I can't remember what time we scheduled. But if you'd like to join us in that class, feel free to go to drboyceprime.com, drboyceprime.com. We did a training on stock options yesterday, and I think that that's something that you will probably find to be quite interesting. There we go. It looks like it's at 3 o'clock Central, which is 4 o'clock Eastern. And then tonight, we're doing a black movie night with director Marcus Small, who made the film The Melanin Code. So we're going to do a couple things. We're going to make money in the afternoon, and we're going to get together and get our popcorn and have an intelligent black movie night where we're going to support a black-owned film called The Melanin Code at 8 o'clock tonight. And all that part is free. The class, it has a small fee, and you can take a look at it and decide if you want to join with your family. drboyceprime.com. If you want to be notified via text, make sure you're on the text list for this class. Text the word morning to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948. So here are a few ways that conflict resolution skill can be huge for you when it comes to your economics. We see Trump and Musk losing billions of dollars because they insist on fighting each other. It's going to get messy because they have so much leverage on each other. I mean, one guy is the richest man on earth. The other one is arguably the most powerful man on earth. And both of these guys have, if you know my wife, actually, Dr. Alicia, 5 months ago, she predicted that those two were going to fall out. She actually there's a video, I'll put it on my Instagram, Dr. Boyce Finance, where she predicted those two are not going to get along for very long. She said this. And so the big reason that they're fighting right now according to Dr. Alicia, is because they have a problem that a lot of black people have, which is undiagnosed, untreated trauma. They, when you have a conflict, you have a choice. Do I want to give a healthy response or do I want to give a trauma response? The trauma response, the injured child wants to fight, right? And they want the conflict. So Musk, if you read Musk's bio and you read Trump's about Trump's life, both of them have had a lot of trauma. Neither one of them really healed from that. And their inability to kind of resolve the conflict is what's leading to this massive collision. So on one hand, Musk loses billions of dollars in government contracts potentially. Trump could do a Vladimir Putin and go have him arrested. Vladimir Putin does this. Vladimir Putin, if he fought with a billionaire. There was a billionaire that tried to stand up to him. He had that billionaire put in prison for life, right? So it's not out of the question that Trump could get Musk arrested, right? Because you have the power of the state. He controls the military. But then Musk is the richest man on earth, right? So that's a lot of money. Money controls politics. And in fact, to sort of get a sense of how much money Musk has, he's not a typical billionaire. He literally, you could take 1% of his wealth, and that literally would be $4 billion. So the fact that 1% of Musk is a multi-billionaire is insane. This man literally, it's like if you gathered 400 billionaires in a room, all that money would be in his pocket, right? So it would all be his. All that wealth would be his. So this man is enormously powerful. And in fact, he's already started to talk about the creation of a third political party, which would disrupt the duopoly held by the Democrats and Republicans. It would kind of throw salt in their game. Ross Perot tried to do this 30 years ago. Ross Perot, in my view, didn't have enough money to do it. He didn't have Elon Musk money. He was a baby billionaire. He was maybe worth about 1/400th of what Musk is worth. Musk has the power to pull this off. So if you sort of look at it this way, both of these guys are going to lose. Both of them are going to lose. One of them might think that he won, but both of them are going to lose. They were better as allies than they are as enemies. And the only person that has the ability to destroy Elon Musk would be a guy like a Donald Trump. The only person that could really destroy a guy like a Donald Trump would be arguably it would be Elon Musk. So this is dangerous for those that are in the Republican Party. And so a lot of people are looking to resolve this conflict. And I thought this would be a great economic lesson because this goes back to your family. This goes back to you. When you are in a business with your wife, if you start fighting with your wife, very few people can destroy you like your wife can. Your husband has a power over you that other people don't have. Your siblings, your business partners, people that you have close to you, you want to invest the time and invest some money, just like you invested money in that business, you should invest money in maintaining that relationship. If you look at, for example, a group like I remember hearing 3 6 Mafia talk about how they were making a ton of money and they were doing really well, and then drugs got involved, egos got involved, conflict ensued, the group fell apart. So that meant tens of millions of dollars thrown out the window because there are millions of people who would love to see 3 6 Mafia on tour. Same thing happened with the Ghetto Boys. My friend Willie D was in the Ghetto Boys. Bushwick and Scarface and Willie didn't get along. So all that money, those tens of millions, maybe $100 million worth of tour money they could have made over 2 or 3 years of going around the world, that money just evaporated, right? So the same thing is true with your family. When you break up the group, you're throwing wealth out the window. So the same way you invested 4 years going to college to learn how to go work for that white man, I need you to go spend time learning how to work next to a black man. I need you to spend that same energy learning how to work next to a black woman. I know that there are differences. I know that there are conflicts. I know that there are crazy people. But at the end of the day, you have to understand wealth is a team sport. That ain't gonna change just because you decided that you don't need nobody. All right. So here are a few ways, just really quickly, based on this is from economic theory, that conflict resolution skills are important for the wealth building process. Number one, it preserves profitable partnerships. We talked about that. You can settle disputes not just with your partners, but also if you have a business, you can settle disputes with clients. Has anybody, tell me if you've ever seen this. Give me a yes or no. Has anybody ever seen a traumatized business owner deal with a rude customer? Has anybody ever seen And sometimes this happens in our community, but I'm sure white folks they got their dirt too. But has anybody ever seen that? Have you ever seen like a real ghetto business owner dealing with a customer that they're mad about? Like maybe somebody they run a hair salon and the client don't want to pay, or they you run a restaurant and somebody complains about the food, and then they say, "Well, I can get as ghetto as you," and next thing you know, they neck swinging and the business owner's fighting with the customer and all that. Like that's inappropriate. That's highly inappropriate. That's not going to help you succeed as a business owner. It makes you look crazy, makes you look stupid. So conflict resolution skills can help you resolve conflicts with clients because that is going to happen. You run a business, you're going to have a client that's going to get irate. You're going to have people that are going to say your product's crap, and it wasn't. They're going to come in angry. And so the ability to have a healthy response to that is critical for business. It's critical for maintaining your professionalism. You talk about your team members. I'm sure you've seen this too. I'm sure you've seen a ghetto boss dealing with their employees, disrespecting their people. And just to make sure that we don't think this is just a black thing, there's a guy named Dave Portnoy. Does anybody know who Dave Portnoy is? He runs a platform called Barstool Sports. Has anybody ever seen Dave Portnoy in Barstool Sports? Anybody, any sports fans in here? Anybody know who this guy is? Barstool Sports is a pretty big platform, multi-million dollar platform. Well, apparently Dave Portnoy is a strong, proud Jewish man. And there was a comedian that he has that works for him, and he's like a co-host. And he made a joke about Jewish people and said, "Why can't I make jokes about Jewish people? I make jokes about everything else." And Dave Portnoy just lost it. I mean, he just lost it. You stupid fuck. You dumb fucking blah 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 blah. I pay you, you little bitch. He literally said that. I don't mean to cuss this early in the morning, but that's what he literally said. Go look it up. It's crazy. He had this complete meltdown which was entirely unprofessional, which is going to create bad blood between him and somebody that works with him. It could lead to a lawsuit because you can't talk to people like that. So the ability to have conflict resolution skills will save you. I promise you, it will be a good investment to learn to take a half a day class on how to just get along with people, how to deal with difficult people. There are books out there on that stuff. Also, conflict resolution skills can improve your decision making. This is another way it links to wealth. It can calm your mind so that you can make the right move, whether you're talking about money or business or whatever. Deep breathing exercises goes a really long way. One thing I learned a long time ago is that when something's really emotional and it's really angering you and you see yourself elevated, you have to be aware of that. Remember, we talk about financial consciousness. Consciousness means I'm conscious of how I'm feeling right now. Right now, I'm so angry, I need to just step away and breathe and find a way to come back with an appropriate response. Because if I say what's on my mind right now, it's not going to work for me. It's not going to work for you. So I'm going to just walk away. Also, it reduces legal and business costs. If you out here acting a fool, getting crazy with people, you get mad like you do what you do what the culture teaches you to do. Like the culture teaches you that somebody makes you mad, you're supposed to snap on them and punch them in the face, or somebody call you the N word, you're supposed to jump across the counter and beat them up. Well, if you know how to resolve conflict, then that reduces your legal costs. There was a rapper called DaBaby, D-A, DaBaby, and DaBaby, who's a great rapper. I don't know why these grown men want to be babies. I've never wanted to be a baby. I haven't wanted to be a baby since I was a baby. But for whatever reason, we got rappers. We got Lil Baby, Da Baby, Baby. There's one just called Baby. That's the Lil Wayne's. He's like 55, but he's still Baby. But anyway, so the Baby goes on the Breakfast Club, and the baby said something that was actually quite profound. He said, you know what? I used to think that if I was in the club and somebody tried to punk me, I was supposed to show how tough I was. I was supposed to get out there and be a gangster and be ready to fight and do whatever. He said, now after several lawsuits and losing millions of dollars, he said, I'm never going to do that again because ignorance is costly. If you think education is expensive, try ignorance. Ignorance will cost you everything. Ignorance will cost you everything. So this culture that encourages ignorant behavior is very, very costly. It probably costs the bad culture costs black people at least $2 or $3 trillion a year. I want you to know that bad culture is extremely expensive. Every time they take a brilliant young kid and make him want to be a thug, that you're losing economic potential there. You're losing productivity. Economic power is connected to productivity. The productivity of your people determines the economic power of those people. So the fact that you have millions of our kids that could be doctors, lawyers, scientists, business owners, but they decide they want to be gangsters, hoochie mamas, and thugs or whatever it is, because the culture tells them to do this, that's very, very costly for the black community. Also, if you have conflict resolution skills, it makes you a better leader. Investors and people that follow you, they trust leaders that are able to stay cool under pressure. And so if you are trying to lead people, starting with your children, and you lose it like a lunatic, and you act like a baby, and you scream and holler and go ballistic and show a lack of emotional discipline, then they're not going to want to follow you. People don't follow somebody who can't even lead themselves. So your ability to stay cool, stay focused, and get the job done, resolve the conflict, that's going to make a big difference in whether or not that woman believes in you that's sitting next to you, that those children are going to continue to look up to you, or think that you're a child like them, right? That respect comes when you have earned that respect. And it's an evergreen process. It's something that none of us ever master. I lose it sometimes. I've had times where I've done that, and I'm ashamed of that. Once I got mad and I was talking to my wife about something, I was so angry and I just lost it, and the kids overheard me. I brought them down to my office one by one, and I apologized to them each individually, one by one. I said, "I'm sorry. That is not the man that I seek to be. I truly apologize. And what I did, there's no excuse for that behavior." And I would encourage everybody to be able to try to practice doing that. It takes time to do that. It's hard to admit that you're wrong, and it's okay to do that. But then when you admit that you're wrong, figure out how you can now be right. Okay. All right. Last but not least, um, when you have conflict resolution skills, it accelerates the productivity of the team that you're working with. A team that's bickering and fighting each other has a very hard time getting the job done. The mission will not be complete because you're too busy arguing over nonsense. If you can get on the same page and come into alignment, then you will find that your success will grow tenfold. So, conflict resolution skill, I encourage everyone to not just embrace it, but consciously pursue it. And the man who just came in right on cue is the one who's going. I'm gonna run. I'm Carl Lewis. I'm sprinting down to the 100-yard line. I'm about to pass the baton because this man is about to set a world record. How you doing, Dr. Frazier?
I'm doing wonderful.
Good
Wonderful,
to see
wonderful,
you.
wonderful. Let me get my act together here. And I just got off a long clubhouse call, and I said, "Listen, I got work to do with Bishop Watkins, and I got to get off this call." Let me get
You,
my glass.
sir, I just find that hilarious that you had your 80th birthday and everybody give Dr. Frazier a happy birthday in the chat, please. Your 80th birthday, and the man, the man is still the hardest. Still the hardest working man in show business. Uh,
I like that. I like that. I like that. Well, next to you, my God.
well, I mean, but I'm 53. I can't imagine what you were doing at 53, man. I can't keep up with you now.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's God is good. It's a blessing. I was doing an interview, and the interviewer asked me, "Dr. Fraser, what is your next big mountain to climb?" I said, "To make 90."
Yes,
To
yes.
make 90. So I said, "Let me give you some statistics." I asked AI, what percentage of black men live to be 80 plus? 4%. 96% don't make it. Then I asked it, what percentage of black men live to be 90 plus? 1%.
Wow.
Right? Right? So this time thing that God gives us, it is precious. You're not killing time. Time is killing you.
Mm.
Right? When the Buddha was asked, what is the biggest mistake that humans make? The Buddha replied, the biggest mistake that humans make is to think they have time.
Mm,
It's like I
mm.
blink my eyes, Doc, and I'm 80 years old.
Wow.
Where did
Wow.
the time go?
Wow. Wow.
Fortunately, I, I was surrounded by great people like yourself and others throughout life and led a productive life. It was about the people. I understood that first of all, I had to connect to grow, and then I had to prosper, right? Um, and then once I connect, grow, and prosper, which is the sub theme of the Power Networking Conference, I had to learn, earn, and return. You got
Mm,
to come back. You didn't
mm.
get this knowledge and these opportunities just for you, right? It is for the culture, it's for our people. But you first got to learn it. And then you have to habitualize it. And then you qualify to teach it because you're modeling the behavior, right? I tell parents all the time, your children ain't listening to you. They're watching you. Your children gonna do what you do, not what you say.
Yes.
What you doing? You telling them don't smoke, but you smoke? No, they're gonna be smoking, right? So it's we make this life complicated, but it's not complicated. But maybe, and maybe I'm unfair. Maybe it's uncomplicated as you get older and wiser. You know, as
Mm,
you've heard me talk about the three most productive periods of our life, right? By New England Journal of Medicine, America's first medical journal, and one of the great medical journals in the entire world, did
mhm.
a longitudinal study on what are the three most productive periods of a man's life, specifically for men. It's better for women, but for a man. Number three is between 50 and 60. That's the third best period. Number two is between 70 and 80.
Wow.
And number one is between 60 and 70.
Mm,
Between 60 and 70. So what does that mean? That means from 0 to 49, you ain't done shit yet. Your best work will come in the final 30 years of your life.
wow.
You're 54?
50. Oh, I'll be 54 in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so you're 54.
Yes.
Yeah. So you've done great work, but
Mm,
it's not going to compare to what you're going to do going forward. Right? Now you know something. Now people know you. They love you. You have a modicum of wisdom. You'll get even more as you get older. You've overcome the obstacles, right? And that's another one of my favorite sayings. I think I said it to you once before. My favorite saying outside of the Bible is a quote by Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius was one of the five great Caesars. And Marcus Aurelius said in 600 BC, before Christ,
mm,
that the impediment to action advances the action. What stands in your way becomes the way. In
mm,
other words, the obstacle is the way. Where there's no
mm.
obstacle, there is no way. Obstacles do not block the path. Obstacles are the path.
Yes.
When God gives you an assignment, what is the first thing he does? He puts an obstacle in your way. And your job is to find a way over, around, through, and under that obstacle to slip, fall, make mistakes, and learn the lessons, and then apply those lessons to your next assignment. Now, if you don't learn the lessons, the Bible tells us what? What's going to happen? You're going to keep repeating it until you learn the lessons,
Whew.
right?
I love
So,
that.
obstacles, I eat obstacles for breakfast. Tell me I can't do something. That actually inspires me. Right? I don't say much. I just tell you, watch this. Watch this.
Mm,
So 80, I've overcome a lot of obstacles as you have. You know, I know your beginnings. My beginnings is the same. Orphanages and foster care. All my young life, I aged out of foster care. Right, my mother became mentally ill. There was 11 of us, and my father was a cab driver. He couldn't take care of 11 children, so we were orphaned. I was orphaned at 2, stayed in an orphanage from 2 to 5, and then a family took me and my sister, my younger brother Joseph, in as foster children. Right, and of course, no one thought I was college material back then, and so I went to a vocational high school, and I got a diploma in carpentry. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. Why?
Really?
Probably one of the greatest men in history was a carpenter.
Yes.
Right? See, that didn't discourage me. I said, oh no, this is a sign. This is a
Yes.
sign here, right? And the carpenter puts things together and uses his or her craft. So, and I couldn't get a really good job when I first got out of high school. So the only job I was able to get, believe it or not, this is back in the late 50s, early 60s, was mopping floors on the midnight shift at LaGuardia Airport, cleaning toilets and cleaning urinals. That was my job, right?
Wow.
So just a quick story. I'm in a stall cleaning a toilet at about 1 o'clock in the morning. True story. And a man comes in, a flight had come in late, and he did his business. And then he went over to the sink and he balled up a piece of paper towel. I popped out of the stall. He didn't know. And I'm standing at the stall looking at him. He's wiping off the counter and polishing the chrome on the faucet. So I looked at him and I laughed. I said, "Would you like a job?" And he laughed. And he looked at me, he said, that's funny. He said, but here, let me tell you something else that's funny. I've never been in a bathroom where the person who was cleaning the toilet was whistling. What's
Hmm.
that about, young man? And I said, well, if you can't be with the one you love the one you with. Find something of value in it. I said, but I said, thanks for asking, but why were you cleaning off the counter and polishing the chrome on the faucet? I've never seen anyone do that. I've been doing this for 2.5 years. He said, well, I've learned in life a very simple lesson that wherever you go, whatever you touch, leave it just a little bit better.
Mm.
That now, now, now,
Mm.
now, 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 Dr. Watkins, I'm still talking about that
Wow.
at 80 years old. It was
Wow.
profound lesson of my life. It went into my conscious and subconscious mind, obviously, and changed the entire trajectory of my life.
Mm. Mm. Can I interrupt on that? Because
Yeah, absolutely.
I love
Please.
what you said was so deep. It relates to it made me think about two things I've always believed just as a human being. One is my number one goal as a father was I said at my funeral, I've seen so many funerals where a man dies and there's a long list of people that have been harmed by that man, and maybe abandonment, trauma, mistreatment, abuse, etc. I said, when I die, I'm hoping that there will be a lot of people there who will say my life was better because that man was in it.
Yes.
When I think about my wife, I think about the people that I talk to, I think about my kids. That's literally a driving force in my life is to say, can I make your life, how do I make your life better? Because I know what it's like to deal with a man who uses his masculine power in a toxic way. I've dealt with that. I've seen that, right?
Yes.
And so I said I want to be the opposite of that, right? The second thing that what you said made me think about is the importance of women and as the givers of life.
Whew.
And one thing that women do, a good woman brings life to anything. She'll take that house, turn it into a home.
and multiplies
Right,
things
you're right. Take your
and
money, multiply it.
multiplies.
If she sees your tie's crooked, she'll come in and fix your tie. Or if your room looks bland, she'll move the flower pot and put some color in the room, and you'll say, "Oh, the room is alive now." And so, to me, my interpretation, and I want to pass that ball right back to you because I'm enjoying this, is that you're talking about the idea of just giving life to things that you touch. When I
That's
see when I think about making things better, you're allowing that thing to grow. You're making it something into something better than what it was before. You interact with a child. You're making that child better. You're giving life to possibility, that they have now because you were there, right? So to me that's what maybe that connects to the longevity that you talk about, right? Like, because
yes,
you think about this, we know what it's like to kind of have a dead life or dead dreams or where we give up or where there is no hope. But the opposite of that, when there is hope and there are dreams and things are alive and things are growing, things are getting better, you're getting a little bit better every day, you're always stretching. That's a critical element of being a champion. Michael Jordan wrote about that in his book. He said that if you have a tree that is not growing, it just starts swaying in the wind, the branches, the leaves fall off, and the tree eventually dies. So he said, if you're not growing, you're dying.
that's right.
So please, I'd love for you
Because
to build
no,
off
no,
of
no, no.
that.
That's beautiful. And that's why I love talking to you. No, literally inspire me. You really do. There are very few people that inspire me. There's just something about you that's so honest and so real and so loving that you reek it, right? I mean, this beautiful round face and smile. I mean, it's just you're. I think the word is charisma. You're charismatic, and it's not one thing. It's a bunch of things. But yes, you're absolutely spot on. You're right. You're either growing or dying. You're right that you're growing or dying. There's nothing that God has ever created
Mm,
that is either growing or dying. There's
mm,
no in between.
mm,
No in between.
mm.
And change is critical. We have to change.
Yes.
I said it on the call the other night. What you're not changing, you're choosing.
Mm,
Right? What you're not changing, you are choosing. That's what you have chose. You're not a victim of circumstance. You
mm,
chose these people, this surroundings, right? To read or not to read. You choose that. That's the
mm.
beautiful thing about God. God will never take away your ability to choose. You chose it.
Yes.
So you must be accountable and take responsibility for it. You could choose good, you could choose bad, you could change. That's your choice. That's the beauty of God. You choose it. You live this life.
Yes.
Right. My favorite little ditty that I created a while ago is I asked for flowers and God gave me rain.
Mm,
Now that's a sermon. I
mm.
asked for flowers and God gave me rain. Why? Because the higher power knows better what you need than you do. And so sometimes you'll ask God for something, He won't give you that thing. He'll give you the tools or the inspiration or the knowledge, right, to get that thing, to
Okay.
learn the lessons, to overcome the obstacles,
Yes.
right? As so it is and we just have to let it we have first of all we have to understand it and then be obedient. Okay, I have this thing I want to do, but there's an obstacle, right? That's the first thing. When God gives you an assignment, what's the first thing He does? He puts an obstacle in your way. And your job again is to find a way over, around, through, and under that obstacle and learn the lessons. Trip, fall, make the mistakes, learn the lessons, and apply those lessons to the next obstacle because you're going to get another obstacle. And by the way, when you think about life, when you think about our lives, that's the entire story of our lives is overcoming obstacles. Said another way, if you in a beautiful car going down a beautifully paved road and there are no twists and turns or hills or valleys, that road will probably lead you nowhere.
Mm,
In fact, if you've never failed at anything, you've never done anything. That's impossible because that's how we learn.
mhm,
And we have to be open to that. And when there's something you desire and then there's something in its way, thank God for that. Because all God is saying there's something you need to learn first.
mm, mm,
First. This is first. I know you want to do that thing, but this is what you need to learn first. And then apply those lessons. So it's all good, man. It's a masterful design, a masterful plan. And yes, I asked for flowers and God gave me rain, and I'm thankful for that because what's the first thing flowers need other than soil? Rain. It's got to
water.
have water.
Yeah.
That's first. You can have the most beautiful flower, but if you can't give it water, it's going to die.
Mm.
That's first. And then what's the next thing? You've got to fertilize it. You've got to cultivate it. And then the seeds of the flower bear fruit in great abundance. And that's
And
life.
and
That's that's
and what's confusing about it is that sometimes if you can't see the bigger picture, you just say, "I'm covered in rain and shit." Right.
yeah.
So
Right.
if you're in the middle of shit and it's raining on you and you don't understand that those are the ingredients to grow the garden. And I mean, one of the hardest things, Dr. Frazier, for I think a lot of people, I know it was hard for me, was to learn how to really properly process failure to use it as an asset. You
That's
know,
right. Right.
again, I didn't know that all the shit was fertilizer, and and it's like really focusing on that. I think is one of the keys to success. The people that I've seen that are the most successful are the ones who can best handle failure or
That's right.
disappointment, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. If you
Right.
can
Use it
master
as
that,
fertilizer.
yes.
Failure's fertilizer. That's what it is. No, that's a beautiful attitude to have and a beautiful understanding. And it sounds so simple. But it's simple in its sounding. It's difficult in its discipline, the discipline that's required, the patience that's required, the knowledge that's necessary, the incremental steps that you have to take to get to the top of the staircase. Because at the top of the staircase is your dream. This is what you're shooting for. But you're at the bottom of the staircase, and you can't get to the top of the staircase trying to walk up the stairs looking up. You don't walk upstairs looking up. You walk upstairs looking at the first damn step that you have to get on. You got to get on that step first. So you're
Mhm.
looking down. And then it's inch by inch, it's step by step. But the dream is up there. But you got to focus on what's in front of you right now and nail that. That
And it
lays
re-
the fact. Yeah.
And,
Go
and
ahead.
you know,
Go ahead.
Dr. Frazier, it relates to what you said about the gentleman that you met in the bathroom who said,
Yes.
everything that I touch, I'll leave it a little bit better. And that's an
Right.
attitude, right? That's a
That's right.
principle.
That's right.
And I would encourage everyone that's listening, what you said that I'm grabbing onto is when you talk about climbing those big mountains, a lot of that really is a culmination of an attitude that says, okay, I'm very far from my target. So the most I can do is make sure that each day I'm doing things a little bit better than the day before.
That's
Or
right.
this project I'm working on, it's a little bit better than it was before. Or even when I was working on my doctorate, I remember we had to write our dissertation, which was just this monumental task. It was 200 pages of nothing but math. That was the most intimidating thing you ever saw in your life.
Wow.
And
Wow.
and yeah, and the best advice I ever got to finish the dissertation was really simple. It was like someone said, just write for 30 or 40 minutes every day. Just do a little bit every day. And just don't miss a day. And I did. I just would say, okay, I'm not going to worry about the big picture. I'm just going to one bite at a time, and each day I'm going to make it a little bit better than it was the day before.
That's
And
right.
before I knew it, I was done.
That's
And
exactly
that's
right.
life. That's wealth. That's investing. That's everything, all right
That's
there.
life. That's
Yes.
life, man. That's what it is, right?
Yes.
You were just in following the instructions of life and in quote success. That's how it works, right? So but again, this understanding, hopefully we learn uh, um, uh, over time. It doesn't come to us immediately. We we learn. We have to learn to be intellectually curious. In other words, I'm interested in a lot of different things, and then when I'm interested in something, I do research. I try to find out as much as I can about this thing that I'm interested in, so that if I'm talking about it, I'm not talking about it based on cognitive bias, but rather
Mm,
critical thinking. And that's
mm,
what we're missing. We have a lot of us that uh, form facts based on their own personal experiences, right?
mm,
That they turn into a fact, but that's called cognitive bias versus doing the research, doing the critical thinking, and trying to understand it at the deepest level that you can comprehend, and then share it, right?
mm,
But and we all have some cognitive bias based on our personal experiences, et cetera, et cetera. But we cannot talk profoundly um, uh, just based on cognitive bias. Yes, we all talk about our experiences, like when I told you in the bathroom, right? And that was a very, very important experience, especially as I got older and wiser, and of course that resonated in my subconscious mind. I mean, it has impacted me so much, that little saying. Whatever you touch, wherever you're gonna leave it just a little bit better. That even if I have a little piece of candy and I take the wrapper off the candy, I will not throw this tiny little wrapper on the ground. I will wait until there is I mean, that's how I've been infected by that, right? Because by throwing trash on the ground, you don't leave it better. You just, right? You don't, right? And so that's how granular that went into me. And of course, has infected, affected, and effected my entire uh, contribution to life. How can I make
mm,
it a little bit better? Any conversation I have, any person that I touch, how can I leave them just a little bit better based
mm,
on critical thinking and some cognitive bias? Yes, I have my experiences and so forth, but that's how we leave people better, and that's so important. And you've done that. I mean, every time I've touched you, I've been around you, and you've been around me. You did it. By the way, you did an incredible job last night on the 5 day challenge. That was just wonderful, right? Just talking,
thank you.
right? Because I know enough to do an opening statement and just let this man talk. Right? Right? Because there's nothing that comes out of your mouth that doesn't make sense and is illuminating. And part of that is your professorial experiences as well. And of course, your academic accomplishments, but then your real life experiences too. So you have a wonderful way of making an incredible salad when you talk out of those three meta experiences that just resonate with people. And then the other beautiful thing about you is you keep it simple. You keep it simple. What's the key to learning? Simplicity and repetition. You've
Mm,
probably heard me say the same things, many of the same things, 100 different times, right? What's the key to learning is simplicity and repetition, right? Our job, brothers like you and I, and sisters like you and I, our job is to do the reading
mm,
and then interpret what we read in a way, in a simple way, that the masses can get it. Because the masses of our people will not do the reading. That's just an unfortunate circumstance at this moment in time. But I'm
mm,
sitting in my office, right? And my office is not at my home. I go to an office every morning. It takes me about 6 minutes to get to the office because I've been married to the same sister for 52 years. So I really need an excuse to get out of the house. Right? Right? And to come back home so I can stay in love with my wonderful sister. Okay. You don't want me around her and up under her 24/7 and vice versa. So I need a reason and it's worked. It's worked. It's worked for her, and it's worked. I mean, 52 years in, half a century plus. Um, and I digress, and I forgot the damn point I wanted to make.
That's okay. I want to. Well,
Yeah,
what I want to ask you about too is you mentioned simplicity and repetition, and that's something everybody who's here. And by the way, I'm talking to Dr. George C. Frazier, and I want to make sure everybody knows that name in case you're new. Um, Simplicity and repetition. That's really powerful because I remember hearing the CEO of Domino's Pizza when they asked him, "Well, how did you build this billion-dollar company?" He said, "Basically, I spent 10 years repeating myself." And he said, I picked our core values and
that's
I
right.
just repeated it. And repetition is powerful, and I encourage everybody to embrace that when it comes to teaching your children about what the family culture is going to be, what they're going to do when it comes to wealth and all these other things. Because what I found, Dr. Frazier, is that when you talk about some of the areas that we want to work on, the areas that are going to help us level up in the next generation,
Right.
the barrier really isn't what it used to be. It used to be one of the barriers was just access to knowledge. They don't want us to know stuff, so they keep it from us. And some of us can't afford to go to college and stuff like that. Well, now you got more knowledge in your cell phone
That's right.
than
Right.
any university in the history of the world,
That's
right?
right.
You get on Instagram, TikTok. There's plenty of places to learn. The question is, what are you doing, with that cell phone? And that's a big question. But then, so what betrays us is not access to the information. I think a lot of us know how to get certain things done economically or
That's right.
health wise or whatever. Just like when I was overweight, I knew exactly what I needed to do to lose weight. The problem was I didn't want to do it.
Right.
I knew I wasn't supposed to eat those Twizzlers and corn chips and
Right.
everything
Right.
else.
Right.
But getting into the habit of eating the salad, getting into the habit of running the 3 miles, getting into the habit of watching my weight, that was the hard part.
That's the
So
hard.
so a lot of times that repetition is forming habits, which is shaping
That's
culture,
right.
which is
Bingo.
critical for our people, right? So can you speak to some of that a little bit? And then also just speaking of culture, I'd love to pivot as well into something we were talking about before you got here, because I feel like you're the perfect person to help us dissect this. I'm sure I don't know if you've noticed the big spat between Donald Trump and Elon Musk right
Woo.
now. Where those two guys were, they were thick as thieves.
Right.
And months ago, Dr. Alicia, my wife, the therapist, she predicted this actually on a video. She said 5 months ago, she said these two will not be able to maintain their friendship because they show these symptoms of undiagnosed, untreated trauma, which affects a lot of our people, and it's going to cause them to have a conflict. And so now they're fighting out in the street. A lot of wealth is being lost,
That's
a
right.
lot of potential that they could have had together, whether you're Democrat or Republican. We you can agree that they were stronger together than they are apart, right?
That's right.
And it made me think about the black family and how many of us, when we're not able to resolve conflicts and value relationships and protect relationships, wealth gets lost.
That's
I figured you were the perfect person to talk about that because I've seen you manage even very difficult relationships
right.
because you're the best networker on the planet. So can you speak to just any of those things?
Um, One of the reasons our marriages aren't working at 23%. It's gone from 80% to 23%. And people ask me, why is that number frighteningly large? I say, well, it's two basic things. We have not developed and you said it a different way, the emotional intelligence necessary
Hmm.
to conduct a powerful relationship, the power of the woman, the power of the man. That takes a very high emotional intelligence and emotional intelligence, EI. is really the control of the five most important emotions that we have: happiness, anger, sad, shame, fear. And your ability to control outbursts, or you hear something that triggers some trauma in you or some negative, and your response to it is just destructive, right? Instead of saying, that's fucking stupid, say, that's an interesting point of view. Here's another point of view, right? So it's emotional intelligence. And this is also the key to building effective networks. There's a book that I recommend to everybody to read, and you probably know the book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0. Wonderful book. Read this a couple of times, it'll change your life,
Wow.
right? How you talk to, manage, and handle people and conversations, even prickly conversations, right? So EQ is critical. And in fact, I say oftentimes, as you grow older and wiser, and I don't care if you're Mensa, if you have a 180 IQ, what you're going to find out over time is that your EQ will be far more powerful than your IQ. Why? Right? If you're Mensa, if you're 180 IQ, but you have the personality and the conversation of a box of rocks, you ain't going nowhere because you
Mm,
can't get along and work with and through other people. And there is
mm.
no success that you can attain, sustain, or maintain on your own by yourself in a vacuum. You can't do it by yourself. We're not designed that way. And there's a reason God designed us the way that we need each other. And where one plus one doesn't make two, that's not what we're talking about. One plus one makes 11. That's what we're looking for. That is driven by how you talk to people, how you handle people, how you control these emotions. I mean, now, your example of Trump and Musk, I mean, it's a perfect example. Now they're in a public pissing contest. And and it's self-destructive for both of them. And it's a terrible model for the country. You
Mhm.
don't handle problems that way. So EQ is something that we have to develop. That's one of the core reasons why our marriages aren't working. We don't study it, and it's a relatively new science, by the way. It's only about 25 years old, right? But it's critically important, especially if you're going to build a circle of friends, a network that know, love, respect you, and vice versa, and you can do things together, and you can talk calmly, and you talk intelligently, and tone and temperament, tone and the emotional intelligence. A lot of it is tone, how you say it, right, and temperament. Because you're when we speak with our whole body. Well, and oftentimes we'll say something when we don't really know what our face is looking like, right? Because you can say a lot just with an emotion or an expression from your face. I used to practice this probably 20 years ago. This is honest to God truth. I practiced for years. When I got up in the morning, before I shaved, I looked in the mirror and I started talking. I wanted to see what my face was looking like, depending on what I was saying, right? Because there's a subconscious movement and you've got a 50, 60 little small muscles in your face, right? So your facial expressions also emote an expression as well.
Mm.
All right. So we got to practice that. And everything you need to know about how to do that and exercises to get better at that. And then, of course, there's always self-evaluation. Now, that's one of the things I do whenever I give a talk and they're recording it. Maybe in a couple of days later, they send me the recording. I watch it. I'm not trying to relearn my own content. I'm just trying, did I say that right? Did I have the right expression on my face? Did I make the right emphasis? Was the tone right for the sentence that I just said? Right? It's just practice, practice, practice. And and when I first started doing it, I was really surprised by how I looked. In other words, my look was incongruent with my words.
Wow. Wow.
Right. So this is a subtlety and it's nuanced, but it's powerful.
Wow. That's
Um, and
uh,
and what this lesson was really brought home to me long ago. I met Bill Clinton at some event that I just happened to go to, and I only had 2 minutes with him. It was one of the most memorable and remarkable 2 minutes of my life. Here's the leader of the free world, and we're shaking hands. And of course, I didn't know whether to shit or go blind, so I'm just start, reeling off some bullshit. And he's looking at me like he's into me like I'm the only freaking person on this 300 person line he has to
wow.
shake hands with. He's in to me in that moment. And that was a huge lesson.
Mm,
Huge lesson. And so and it's a lesson that we have to learn or get better at. There are many that know it in the culture and are very, very successful because of how they comport themselves, their language skills. Obviously, they have the knowledge base on whatever it is that they're selling or talking about. But it's comportment, it's emotional intelligence. And you said it earlier. This is one of the reasons we fight each other. The way we disagree with each other, you end up hating the person. It doesn't have to be that way. It's language, and it's how you control this body, face, eyes, and the words that come out of your mouth. Very,
mm,
very, very important. People call me a wordsmith. I don't know if I'm trying to be a wordsmith, right? But maybe I am. I'm careful with what I say. Now, I have said things that have devastated people, and I have regretted it. I did not intend that. All right. It was misspoken. It was not my intention. And people have said things to me that have devastated me in the quiet of my own self. But it's not what they said, it's how they said it.
mm,
Words that they chose. So we have to be careful of our words and how we comport ourselves. And you're not going to stay with a partner, whether it's a business partner or a life partner, if you don't control what comes out of your mouth and how you express it, the tone of it. Now, it doesn't
mhm.
mean that the tone doesn't go up and down. It just depends on the circumstances, the appropriate tone for the appropriate remark. And it's an art and a science. And it's really the secret, to be candid with you, it's really been the secret to my personal success.
Yeah.
And it's because of one person that was in my life, Dr. Qua David Whitaker, who we grew up together. But this brother has a PhD in psychology and a law degree. He got both his law degree and PhD at the same time.
Wow.
We were kids together.
Wow.
Brilliant. But what was so magnificent about Dr. Whitaker is the way he comported himself, the way he spoke, the words that he chose. So when I got married, he was our family psychologist, right? So once a month, we take the whole family and we talk things through. And then every other month, I would go and talk to him by myself without Nora Jean. Then Nora Jean would go and talk to him, without me, right? And we got that kind of guidance. My children got that kind of guidance. And and that has infected, affected, and effected our behavior and how we talk to each other and how we resolve issues. And there will be issues, make no mistake about it. All right, you're not going to live 52 years with somebody and you know. All right. Not only that, I'm from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, New York, and she's from Cincinnati, Ohio. That's a you know the cultural differences between a thug from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, New York, and a sister from the Queen City growing up with a mom and a dad, right? So right. So
Uh,
that took me some time. It's just sort of calm down and get my stuff together. Or this just is simply not going to last. All right.
mm,
I'm
well,
sorry about the rant, but yeah.
no, that wasn't a rant at all. That was wisdom. Can everybody let Dr. Frazier know how much you appreciate that? Because there is a lot of really bad relationship advice online that people always get from people that don't have relationships, don't know anything about it. So I think it's very important to learn from people that have experience. You have to learn from people that have done what you're trying to do. You're
That's
trying to
right.
be married 52 years. Go talk to somebody who's been married 52 years and you'll know that you'll know the difference between the fairy tale and the reality of it.
Right.
And also, I want to make a note to everybody. I think you should write this down. I was taking notes. He mentioned the five emotions that you want to manage. He said happiness, anger, sadness, shame, and fear.
Right.
And I like to remember things in acronyms, Dr. Frazier. So the closest thing I could come up to was come up with when you talking about control. I said HAS has SF self has self control. Right. So maybe
Wow.
that's a good way for everybody to remember it has
Yeah. That's
self-control.
beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and
That big brain, man. That's that big brain. You did that while I was talking to you too. I mean,
I did I did.
that's
I said
incredible.
I ain't
That's
letting this go because
yeah,
this is critical. I want everybody in here, please write this stuff down because it's really those soft skills that make the biggest difference. It ain't
that's right.
just how many degrees you have and how much money or whatever. You got to know how to relate to people and not go around and like when I spoke at my brother's wedding, I was probably a terrible best man. I gave the toast and I said, if you want to know my advice on a good relationship, I would start with saying, don't be an asshole. Just, don't be because
That's right.
you see people disrespecting each other all the
That's low
time.
emotional intelligence. That's an asshole. That's low EQ.
Yes, yeah, and I never understood that. To me, that's entirely illogical. Um, I understand if you hate someone's guts and don't care what they think, and you just say, "Get out of my face." But when you're talking to somebody that's supposed to be your ally, like your wife, well,
Hmm.
you're supposed to talk to your wife in a certain way, no matter how you feel. Talk to your husband a certain way, no matter how you feel. Talk to your siblings a certain way, no matter how you feel. Your business partner, you talk a certain way, no matter how you feel, because these are valued relationships.
That's right.
These are your allies. And you look at Musk and Trump, for example, you're
Right.
turning a close ally into an enemy. That's a
That's right.
recipe for self-destruction, if there ever was one.
That's right. That's
You
right.
know, like my enemies can hit me from a distance. Your allies can put that knife right into your kidney because they're right next to you.
That's right.
So,
That's
my dad, he was a gangster in his own way. He turned into a cop, and he used to say, he said to me he came to visit me at Syracuse, and he said something like, he said, keep your enemies close and your friends closer.
that's
I
right.
said, but wait, in The
Or
Godfather, did they say keep
keep
your
your friends
friends close
close
and
and
your
your
enemies?
enemies closer. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I said it wasn't
That's
the
right.
other way around. He said no. He said because it's your friends that they're the ones who do you. It's not your enemy. You're
Yeah.
looking out for your enemy. It's not,
That's right.
so let me ask you this, Dr. Frazier,
Let me just say this about it because that's a wonderful point.
please.
And I say this all the time. Friends are critically important because it's God's way of apologizing for your relatives, right? You can pick your friends, but you can't pick your relatives, right?
That's right.
And the story of my
That's
life
right.
is I ended up running away from my brothers who were heroin addicts and
Oof.
dealers in Brooklyn, New York, when I aged out of foster care. And had I not
Wow.
gotten out of that brownstone in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, New York, you and I would not be having this conversation. When I ran away, very, very important. I tried to get my younger brother Joseph, to come with me. I said, we're going to go to Cleveland. We have a sister there. This is a very toxic environment. We do not want to spend any major time here. I said, come with me. I called her and she'll take us in. He said, no, 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 I'm going to hang with my older brothers. Okay. So I said, okay. I blessed them and released them. And I got on a Greyhound bus, packed my shit up, got on a Greyhound bus and went to Cleveland, Ohio. 3 years later, my sister calls me and says Joseph was just killed in a drug deal that went bad. Not only was he killed because they bombed his apartment, the six brothers who were hanging with Joseph, right, in a little social event is, but they were killed too.
Oh my goodness.
Be careful who you're hanging with,
Wow. That's a
right? So this is hugely important. It's hugely important, and so that I just want to put the mic
mm,
down on that because that's
mhm.
that's it, one bad decision, right, like that, it can change your entire life. It would have changed my entire life had I not had the gumption or God or whatever you want to call it. Said, no, you got to get out of here by any means necessary. This is not good. All right.
Mm.
So, and there are many of us that are in those kinds of toxic environments, and we give into it, and it's not good.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that story, and I'm very sorry about your brother. That must have been very difficult.
Mhm.
And so speaking of God apologizing for our relatives and giving us opportunities to form meaningful relationships, one place, and I can't let us go without talking about this. One place where I found meaningful relationships that have supplemented my life tremendously, is the Power Networking Conference.
Mhm.
And I wanted to give you a chance to kind of talk about that because I'm going to be there, and it's nice to be around people that can fill in those gaps in your life, whether it's a knowledge gap, a connection gap, economic gaps, things like that. Can you speak on the Power Networking Conference and what people can look forward to?
Yeah, yeah. This is our 24th. Now, you've been black a long time. I've been black a long time. You know, you cannot produce anything for black people 24 consecutive years and it not be all that in a bag of chips because Negroes will put your ass out of business in a New York minute if you
Yes,
eat
they
all that
will.
in a bag of chips. Make no mistake about it. So this is our
Yes.
24th anniversary. It will be in Atlanta. It is a place, as both talked about, where you connect and you grow, and of course you prosper, and you will learn, earn, and ultimately learn how to return. And it's all of that. And the best and baddest brothers and sisters on the planet speak. Only the best and baddest get our golden microphone, and you will be featured. And as long as I'm living, as long as there is a power networking conference, you will be there. This is no question. You are what I call, you could relate to this, tenured faculty, right?
Yes.
Tenured faculty. And there's only a handful of people who are tenured faculty. So your face will become a part of this annual event. It'll be about 1,000 brothers and sisters. It's heavily female. It's just a statement about where sisters are. It's probably 60 to 65% women because our women are beasts when it comes to getting knowledge and making connections and sorority and I mean there I just got off a clubhouse call before I got onto this. It was all women. It was
Wow.
200 women.
Wow.
And they invited me to make some remarks. So God bless women. So it's heavily women. So if you're a brother out there looking for a high value sister, by the way, you need to be a high value brother. Uh, you're going to have a fields day. Yeah, at the power networking experience. That's what it's. We went it from a conference to an experience because that's the new thing. That's people want an experience these days, not just another conference. So it's an experience and an expo. Um, and the subject matter is the traditional subject matter: the power of the human connection, effective networking. building and managing, properly managing wealth, right? Building and starting building and scaling our businesses, right? And then for the first year, this for the first time in 24 years, I will have a talk about family. It will
Mhm.
be based on the book that I'm writing, The Existential Crisis of the Black Family, A Path to Restoration, a path,
Mhm.
right? So I don't just articulate a deep problem and not say, here are what I think are some of the solutions, and people can add, subtract, divide, or multiply. So we'll have a family talk. Now, while I'm thinking about it, I want to give everybody a key to finding the right life partner, right? When you're out here, if you're a single sister or if you're a single brother, and you're looking for a partner, what you're looking for in that potential partner are the great qualities in you that you feel are great qualities that have made you a productive human being in her or in him.
Mhm.
Your values, your character, with the qualities that you love about you that is proven. You're looking for that in your partner, right? So, a real simple way of saying that, you're really looking for a way with a partner to fall in love with you, right? Right? You've fallen in love with a mirror as close as you can get of you and what you deem appropriate and important. Right. Now, this is contingent upon the fact that you have done the work. All right. You've gotten the therapy and you've gotten your life together. It's not that there are always lessons to learn, but that's what you're looking for. So, so this is an environment where they're high value people, because high value people make the kind of investment of time and treasure to be around the right people. So it's a wonderful place if you're looking for a partner. Um, so those are the subject matter that we talk about. Of course, there's all kinds of luncheons and award ceremonies and all the stuff you normally see at our conferences, but it's like 70 workshops and seminars, and I mean, so there's just it's 4 days. It's 4 days, and every moment of every day there's something to do, someone to meet, and we facilitate and we do exercises to facilitate us making sure that we connect. Because we tend, when we go to conference, we tend to stick with the person that we're with, or we tend to sit at tables of really close friends that you don't really have to meet. No, we want you to meet new people, make new connections, and so forth. So, um, so it's intense. It's an award-winning conference. Forbes magazine named us one of the top 5 conferences in America, not to be missed. Not one of the top 5 Black conferences, one of the top 5 of all conferences put on in this country. So I take that for what it's worth. And you ought to be there. You ought to have that experience. That's really what we're talking about. That's why it's been now the Power Networking experience. This is an experience, and you need to privy yourself to that experience. You'll make your own decisions whether that experience was worth your time and treasure. But I think you'll like it. 65% of the people that come to our conference are repeaters, people who come multiple times. All right. So we moved it to Atlanta because Atlanta is just all that in a bag of chips these days, and there's just a lot going on. Now, the downside of it being in Atlanta is a hell of a lot of competition, right? They got stuff all the time. No question about it. So you really have to stand tall. Now you can. Um, uh, uh, some of the speakers are up on the site. We're still curating now. Delano, the new president of FraserNet, this is part of succession planning that we talk about all the time. That'll be one of the conversations. Proper succession planning. He is my successor. So he is now fully in charge of the conference. Do I have sway and say? Am I hovering over him like a mother hen over their chicks? Yes, I am. No question about that. But but you got to do it. You got to do it, right? You got to do it, right? You learn by doing, right? A little ditty I tell people all the time about swimming. You can read every damn book you want on techniques of swimming, every stroke, right? What the strategies and tactics of swimming are. But your ass can't swim until you jump in the water.
Right,
Okay, when you
right.
jump in the water, that's the litmus test. Now you've read everything. Now you got to execute. Now you got to do it. So you learn by doing. Absolutely, we learn by reading and studying and all that. But then you got to put it to work. So it's that kind of conference it's at a whole nother level. There is no conference that I've been to or spoken at that duplicates the strategy and tactics of our conference. We wanted it and designed it that way. Um, and I'm going to do what I did the last time with you. I'm going to anybody that was smart enough to be up this morning and to hang with you. I'm going to make them a special offer because the conference is not cheap. We got four different levels, all the way up to what we call a royalty level. That's $15,000. But that's all kinds of extra VIP special things and that kind of stuff. But the base price, the base price is about $2,000 still, $1,997. We're about 60% sold out. So what I want to do is for you and for the people who are smart enough to just, be in your presence, is to make them an offer. It can't be the same offer I made before. That was a crazy offer. In fact, I had to subsidize all those offers, right? But that's okay. That's all right, right? I have to subsidize that offer. So we're going to reduce it from $2,000 to 699. 699. So what is that about? 65% discount. Now you cannot go on the site and get that. That doesn't exist. All right. You try to get that on the site, it'll send you a text message, Negro, are you crazy? So you're not so you have to get it through me and you have to call me. Or no, you have to call me. You have to email me. Email me at gfraser@frasernet.com. Gfraser, Fraser, just as you see it up there, at frasernet.com. And then in the subject line, put I'm in Boyce. I'm in Boyce. I know it's from you. I know what to do. And then in the body of the email, just put your name and your cell number, your name and your cell number. And I will call you and we'll handle our business over the phone. All right. So it's a bespoke experience. Okay. So that's what I want to offer. You need to be there. It will change your life. You'll meet people that will add value, significant value. In fact, if you met just one person at the Power Networking Conference that could help change the trajectory of whatever it is that you're doing, it is well worth the time and the talent. And you'll meet more than one. But
Yeah.
so be there. Be there. It's all that in a bag of chips. And I'm not bragging. I'm just saying. And because again, it would not be in its 24th year if it wasn't. Not without people. Right. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Well, and I look forward to joining the Power Networking Experience this year.
Mhm.
And what month is it again, Dr.
It's
Fraser?
November
November.
5th through the 8th in Atlanta. So it's
Okay.
about 4 or 5 months away. And
Okay.
we've been working on it for a year. We moved it. It used to be in the summer. We found a problem with the summer because that is the most popular time for conferences in our culture because there's vacation, the teachers are off, and all those other kinds of things. So we moved it to the last quarter
Mm.
of the year. Less traffic. Still nice in Atlanta in November, and it's fall, but it's still nice, and so we'll see. We haven't done that in a while. Yeah,
Okay. All
yeah.
right. Perfect. So everybody who's interested, send Dr. Fraser an email and he can get you in there and I'm going to be there And as you all also know, we got the All Black National Convention in August, which Dr. Frazier, of course, if I
I
didn't
will be there.
mention that you're
Absolutely.
invited, yeah, I'd love to have you there as well. And also, in
We
terms of
have the
today,
last night. Tonight is the last night of the 5 day challenge, which is free. 5 day
ah,
you nailed, and we had one of our highest. We had the highest attendance last night when you were on. Right,
what-
almost 500 people. Okay, on a Zoom call. Right, it actually maxed out our capacity.
wow, I love
So
it.
it was awesome, and you were awesome. So
Thank you. Thank you.
this is our last night. It's our fifth day with John Hope Bryant from Operation Hope, who's a bad brother,
Man,
bad.
excellent, excellent man. Yeah, yeah, give
And
John my
join us
best.
free of charge. You want to know how to get on? Just go to my Facebook page or my LinkedIn page. You'll see a promotion on it, and it's real simple. There's a link, and you'll be there.
Okay. All right. So everyone, make sure you follow Dr. Frazier on social media. Look him up. What's your Instagram, by the way, Dr. Frazier?
Uh, I think it's. Oh, that's a damn good question. I think it's George C. Fraser. George C. Fraser. Just put George Fraser in there. My picture. They have a picture of you, so my picture will pop up. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is one of my favorite. I love LinkedIn in terms of the information, the business
Oh,
information,
yeah.
and WhatsApp, LinkedIn, all the Twitter, and TikTok. I'm on 6 platforms. Yeah.
All
How,
right.
how many are you on? I mean, how many are you on?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Yes.
Yeah,
You are
not
ubiquitous.
Snapchat.
You
Sorry.
are. I mean, there is not a day that I open up my cell phone and start trolling and strolling through social media and you pop up. I mean, I'm talking about more than once a day, right? So you are ubiquitous, and that's a beautiful thing.
Ah,
Really.
thank you for
Lucky
saying
to
that.
have you, man. We're lucky to have
I'm lucky to have anybody that will listen, and I'm extremely appreciative of that because there's some places you can go and you bring in black intelligence and people think blackness is associated with something else and that's not true. I think that we're the most intelligent people on the planet and
absolutely.
it's time for us to claim our spot on that throne. So I want to say thank you very much for being you. And I looked up the stats, Dr. Frazier, and it said that when you make once you've made 80, your odds of making it to 90 amongst the 80-year-olds who've made it that far is 1 in 3. 1 in 3. And since you're a great man, since you're one in a million, then we know we'll be celebrating your 90th birthday. I'm gonna be at that party too. So,
Amen.
amen.
Thank you for that.
Hallelujah.
Thank you
There
for
we go.
that. Thank you for
All right.
that.
So everybody, if you could give Dr. Frazier a digital thank you for his presence and for his greatness and his extraordinary contribution to our people, I encourage you to follow up with the things he talked about today. I don't want you to just have a good conversation. I want you to grow from that. Remember, he mentioned earlier those 5 emotions that you have to manage to be emotionally intelligent: happiness, anger, sadness, shame, and fear. The acronym was HAS, HASSF, has self-control. That's a good way to remember it. And also later on today, we're going to do stock options training this afternoon. I'll send you guys a link if you still want to join us in Prime. And then tonight we're doing Black Movie Night with director Marcus Small. We're going to watch his film, The Melanin Code, and we're not going to watch the whole film. We'll watch snippets and have a conversation with the director. That's how
Have
we're
you
going to.
seen Sinners? Have you seen Sinners? I haven't seen it. Have you seen Sinners?
Oh, Sinners is great. You got to see
Okay, I
it.
was going to ask you. A lot of people, I haven't seen it, but you recommend it?
Highly recommended. Yeah, he did a really good job of laying out the case of what happens when you allow outsiders into your culture and
Ooh,
they come in as vampires. And this movie literally has vampires and but there's a lot of what's the word parallels or it's very analogous to what happens with us when we're allowing others to poison our culture and make
right.
us into something that we're not supposed to be. Metaphors. Thank you, Kevin. Kevin, I'd lost that word. But yeah, it's a lot of great metaphors that I think people are related to. I highly recommend it. I'd be curious. In fact, when you see it, shoot me a message and I'd love to hear your interpretation of it.
Yeah, I will. Thank you for that recommendation because I'm gonna drag my wife to it with me, and there's a couple that's our best friends for 50 years. I'm gonna recommend we're gonna go together because
Well,
you
that's awesome.
recommended it. So thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, give my best to your wife as well, and God bless you. And everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Y'all have a wonderful day, and don't forget to get on the text message for this morning class. We meet every morning, 10 a.m. Eastern. Text the word morning to the number 87948. So text morning to 87948.